And I'll just say it fits under a larger umbrella of my model called humanship, which is sort of the new leadership. And I think because good leadership really is about being a good human, and these practices fit any part of life.
I
So
love that. Good humanship. I love that.
Welcome to Whole by Design, the podcast exploring the human experience with compassion and curiosity. Together, we'll uncover powerful internal resources and tools to help you embrace clarity, joy, and your full potential because you are whole by design.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Julie Lopez, and I am your host for Whole by Design. On this month's episode, we will be diving into the important area of leadership, garnering trust, and creating dignity among individuals, teams, organizations for better, more effective, and efficient ways of relating, communicating, and overall getting things done. Stay until the end when you'll hear about the three-step process to up-level your authenticity. And who doesn't want that, where people feel and can connect in with being safe and trusted in your presence? Today, I'd like to welcome Daniel Lieberman, who is the founder and CEO of Valuable Leadership. And he's here to tell us more about the topic of garnering trust, building authenticity, and ultimately being most effective in the workforce. Thank you so much for joining us today, Daniel.
oh, thanks for having me, Julie. It's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit. I know you have a model that you use in your work, and I just want to say, this work is so important, right? Because it's not just about the end result, which is better organizations, more effective leadership, better communication. But I think when we learn a little bit more about your model, it's about showing up authentically in a grounded, innately authentic way with people in your lives. So I actually think this has applications for everyone who might be listening. But tell us about your model.
Yeah, and I'll just say it fits under a larger umbrella of my model called humanship, which is sort of the new leadership. And I think because good leadership really is about being a good human, and these practices fit any part of life.
I
So
love that. Good humanship. I love that.
And so the model is I call the beacon effect, and it originally I developed it as this idea of this beacon that cuts through fog to give leaders clarity in uncertain times where there's pressure, stress, other things where their thinking is not as online as it is and other times under stress and duress, like the rest of, like all of us.
Well, I was going to say, well, who doesn't need clarity,
Right.
right? I mean, life has all kinds of twists and turns and opportunities for us to be completely overwhelmed or foggy or uncertain. So clarity to me seems like an amazing outcome that someone might be very invested in.
Yeah, and so that's the idea, partly why I got the name Beacon, which stands for balance, engage, adapt, commune, orient, and navigate. And one of the reason it is it works powerfully because it's really not this human upgrade or performance system, but it's actually a return how we work well under pressure. So when we
Mhm.
are more balanced, most people know this, we actually think better. We do better under pressure when we can maintain our balance and equilibrium. And
Okay, love that. I'm going to jump in with my nerdiness, right?
Go
My
for it.
big thing is about the nervous system. And if you have the
Yeah.
right inputs for your nervous system, your whole body is going to be in a better position to focus, to have clarity, to be able to follow through, even to do very hard things, right? If we look at
Mhm.
those movies with Jason Bourne or, you know, well, I forgot who it was, 007. Who is that? James
Oh,
Bond,
James Bond.
right? They
Yes.
have all these things coming at them. Like life couldn't be more chaotic, but they are level-headed. They are so cool. They are so trained and adapted to see 20 things at once and know how to position in exactly the right way to dodge the bullet and save the girl and do the thing, right? And that's, the way our nervous system can work for us when we've maximized its potential.
Totally. And, in fact, I won't geek out because it will take too much time. But in short, the folks like Green Berets, Navy SEALs, Special Forces,
Mm.
the folks who make it through those really do. And now we can map, it's been mapped on fMRIs. They actually do have a way in their body of managing stress. It's their nervous systems are a little more advanced than sort of us normal people. And what we also know, and the science has shown, is that we can all learn to develop and upgrade our nervous system regulation. And that's one of the things that the beacon effect is very helpful for.
Yeah, tell me about it. You shared the 6 words, but I'd love to hear what it means in practice.
Yeah, so I was thinking as getting ready for your show about this whole idea, your idea of hold by design, and I landed. So the beacon effect, these 6 lenses of balance, engage, adapt, commune, orient, and navigate, really can be applied to almost any problem I continue to find as I continue to work on this and with different people and so forth. And one way to think about it is if we look at trust, which is a fundamental thing that we want in life as humans. We want to trust people and we want to be trusted by people.
Oh, yes.
And so then we put a sentence on each one of those things. Now, balance, the sentence I think about is regulate your body before you regulate the situation. That may be true for
Mhm.
other situations beyond just trying to develop trust, but if I'm not regulated, then it's hard for somebody else to trust what I'm saying.
Mm.
So
Okay.
that's the first step. And then engage around trust is to be present in a way that people can feel your presence, that they know that you're there. They feel it in their bodies to some sense.
Okay, so wait, just even before we go through each of the 6,
Yeah.
so we're using trust as an example, but we're looking at the way, if that's the thing you want to build,
Hmm.
that you can use the beacon model to establish that. So I think it would help with each one, maybe to give an example. I know we're using trust, but B was for balance, right?
Right. Hmm.
So what, and I know it's probably many different ways you could balance, but give me an example. If I'm sitting here and I'm like, ooh, I'm about to have a big pitch and I want to establish trust in the room, how am I going to do that? Like, what am I going to do to be balanced or to balance so that I can leverage this model for the outcome that I want?
Great question. So look, I'll just bring it right down to the moment. So, being on a podcast brings up a little bit of anxiety for me and imbalance. And so one of the things I am doing presently in this moment is my feet are squarely planted on the floor, and I'm actually tuned in to the sensations
I
of
love
what it feels like. So I know that I'm in my body, balanced firmly on the earth, and able to connect with you and hopefully your audience as well.
it. I love it. So you're doing something physical that gives you the sensation of being balanced and it draws your attention to your physical body.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Love it.
It may balance, and it often because leadership is nervous system work, like maybe life is nervous system work,
For
being human.
I
Yeah.
love you're saying that because my main program is all about resetting your nervous system.
Well, you're helping build leaders, and you get at least at very leaders of themselves, at very least, and certainly probably more. And so that there is often to that self piece, some physicality, breathing, slowing breathing down. And there's more techniques to bring one's nervous system into balance than I'm aware of. And we don't have enough time to me to name all the techniques that I'm aware of.
Just give us the next one, E.
Yeah, so E is about engaging, and so it's being present. So if I'm balanced, then I can be present and connected in a way that people can feel. So, specific behaviors, eye contact, listening, paraphrasing, active listening, if I know what that term means, and embodying that. And so that when we're engaged, if you think where that term gets most used in our society is with couples to be married, they're all in, right? So but we use it in other words, workplace engagement, well, yeah, it is about being all in. So when in that moment, can you be present with yourself and with the person or people that you're with and the situation, the circumstances as well?
I love that. And you rattled off a whole bunch of very practical things that help you and people you're connecting to feel your engagement and welcome them to engage as well.
Yeah, and I would say, and some of these may be a little challenging to get really granularly practical with, but that is the
We can
point.
do it together, Daniel.
We,
We'll just
we,
do it together.
we will. And that is the point, is that these are practices more than a model. These are
Love
ways
it.
to shift thinking, feeling, and behaving. And
Love
those are
it.
practical matters.
Love it.
We can go on when you're ready.
Let's go on. I'm ready.
Okay, so the next one is adapt, which is about changing course in real time without losing our center. So again, balance and engage are really fundamental to good adapting well, because we need to know where we are and who we are and where the circumstances, not only the people who are around us, what's the situation, are we engaged with that situation? And then we can begin to think of alternatives. What changing course can we do in real time, but not lose the center that's important? So that may, if it's a business, that may be the mission of the business or the revenue. If it's a family situation, it may be the cohesion of the family. But what's the adapt? How can we change course without losing what's most important here?
So that's a major skill, and people feel that and they respond to it, right?
Hmm.
If you're first balanced and then you're engaged and you're actively listening, that was one of the examples that you gave around the engagement,
Hmm.
then when things change course, because they do, when you're in groups of people or teams of people, things don't always go the way you pre-planned it. Like everyone isn't on board with the same thing. There's things that you couldn't have even imagined. And if you demonstrate that you're adaptive and you can roll with that and you can hear what they're saying while still staying anchored
Yep.
and demonstrating flexibility, that's an amazing skill. And of course, that garners trust because it's like, yeah, you see me, you hear me, but you're not just waving in the wind, changing with other people. Like you have a point, there's stuff you're trying to communicate, and you're able to stay tracking with it. I'm not sure if I got all that right, but that's what I heard when you talk
You,
about
sorry,
adaptation.
you are on point, and even your use of the word anchored. See, we're at the halfway point with adapt. We have three more letters to cover. I'll just say quickly that again, these six ideas are for me, coming from this leadership perspective and really a human perspective, is that um, when we anchor in two things, composure and resonance, we can really change a lot for the better. And so in ourselves and in the worlds that we're in. And so that's what this
Is that
is.
the C?
What's that?
Sure. Is that the C?
No, it's commune. So composure and this all this fits under a larger leadership umbrella of mine about being anchored in composure and resonance. Um,
Cool.
this is a really pragmatic, like those are all lofty words. Well, how do you be composed? Well, you can use the beacon effect to do both of those things, to have better composure and better resonance, which means better impact on your environment and on yourself, the people, the whatever the situation.
I love it.
Thanks. That just a quick time out. Anyway, thank you.
That's okay. Because you know what? I'm actively listening and I'm on a mission, but I can change course as we go.
You, by George, I think she's got it.
Okay, so the C, did you say it was community?
It's commune, actually. So
Commune. Okay.
commune, and this is one as I'm working with people, well, what's commune? And I'm like, well, the way commune is used most in modern society, in the US anyway, is maybe in the Catholic Church, some people know about communing with Christ or God through the wafer and so forth. And the other way we talk about it is communing with nature. And both of those are, again, sort of like I talked about with engage, but a little different about being all in. That that when we are communing with the circumstance, we are not denying anything. We're just being with to understand better and to support support potentially better. So in the trust domain, one of the ways to make that specific is to say the unsayable with compassion and restored shared meaning between people.
Mm.
So that's a practical way to commune is maybe the most challenging one for everybody to, well, how am I going to make that practical in this situation?
But you said say the unsayable.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's like you're observing something or you're noticing something, or maybe you even know something
Right.
based on context clues, and you're daring to show up with what's right in the room.
Right. Hmm.
Is that
And if you
right?
do it, then do it with a compassionate way where people can connect and listen to it. Because I think in society, people will say it, in a divisive way, in a, provocative way. Sometimes that has value, but oftentimes, again, in a where we're looking for cohesion in a team or corporate or family setting, um, provoking doesn't usually engender better, durable relationships and performance. That's my experience.
Right. And trust, right? We're working on trust. So, okay, I know we're on this beacon thing and we're at the sea, but I have to ask you, Daniel.
Mhm.
So, in all your work doing this stuff with individuals and teams and organizations, tell me one of your top five examples or the top five moments where you're like, wow, this person is really communing in the ideal way that I was hoping. I taught this, here we are working, so beautiful. Like, yeah, just crystallize it for us with one of your favorites.
Great question. And a client comes to mind instantly. A fellow I worked with who he would say, when I started, he did say, well, people see me as arrogant and very, very smart, worked in a high-tech company as an individual contributor in a large, well-known tech company, high pressure job. And we worked to channel his intellect into some more humility, and connecting with others. And so he really began to commune with a lot of people with the situation. One of the most, from an interpersonal standpoint, there was one person that he needed to work with on the project, and they started out, they were, before I got involved, they were already kind of arch enemies, as they both described it. Both the smartest guy in the room, didn't get along. Now by the end of our work, they were going out to lunch together because they really respected each other, because my client began to, connect with him in a way that really appreciated who this other fellow was, and that he was committed to the project and to the company. And even though they didn't get along, it didn't mean he didn't have his own value and dignity. And so that
Mm.
created a human. And then the second piece is,
Wait. So tell me,
yeah,
what did he do? Like in that moment, like what was he doing to commune? Like,
yeah,
be it something he told you, or maybe you witnessed directly, but like make it tangible. Like,
it was repeated contact, a campaign over a year of contact with this other fellow, where he used active listening and inquiry and demonstrated respect in the moment. We laid out some behavioral ways to demonstrate it, but it was really being present with this other fellow, being curious about what his point of view was, and responding to it in real time, in a real authentic way. And so that helped him really commune and move the relationship in a very different way.
so that to me sounds like engagement. When you described communing, I heard something different. That was
It,
like
it
a little bit
it
more
is it is
advanced.
deeper. It is deeper, and it's this is so the how I'd articulate it is a really open heart. Engagement is a lean in with your body, not
Hmm.
necessarily an open heart. There is some strategy and calculation. Commune is really opening your heart and letting go of strategy to connect for this idea of restoring shared meaning.
Hmm. And do you think this particular person with this particular example used that action of naming something that wasn't named?
I think he did it a couple of times, and I'll tell you one of the specifics. I wasn't there. This was a story he related to me. So, the fellow, his arch enemy, so to speak, had owned a part of the what needed to go into this and was inflexible on how he would connect to my client's larger project. Um, when my client said that that I don't know how he said it, but basically, this is old technology. We're moving into the future with AI. Your technology can't keep up with it. That was the unsayable thing. They switched and actually went to a vendor and got the latest technology for this capacity rather than the in-house one.
Ah, okay. So he had been tiptoeing around this
Yeah.
obvious
Uh,
truth
yeah.
and he dared to say it kind of directly.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for the example and being
Yeah.
put on the
Thanks
spot.
for getting me there to that very specific conversation that
I
they had.
love it. I think
Uh,
it just helps crystallize it.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Because I think, there's something I do in my business owners forum when we open up a meeting and it's called Words for the Good. And the idea is that you share whatever within this group of business owners that will help move the group forward in a positive way. And that's not always a positive thing. Yes, it might be gratitude for something, but often it's really important to say, hey, this kind of annoyed me, or this was a thing, or actually you keep bringing up this tech, but it's old. We're not going to move forward with this in the right way. And no one's been willing to say it. It's like the elephant in the room. But really, those words and their truth and the taking the risk to engage authentically in that way creates a better cohesion among the group.
100%. You get it.
Yeah.
And you're going to think, oh, that bleeds a little bit into Orient, which is
Okay.
what
Yeah. What's O? What's O?
so Orient, it is like the word, like what is our orientation?
Mhm.
Where am I in the broader sense? But when I thought about it in this sort of developing trust as the problem or the project, I really thought about three things that are important in orientation. One is clarify what's true. So it does bleed into what you're talking about with commune, but it is a pragmatic clarify what's true, clarify what's uncertain, and clarify what won't change. And so these are I go back to my Coast Guard days where the beacon effect was sort of inspired by. And what does the water look like? Okay, there's a rock there. It's not going to change. And there's hard surf here that we've got to maneuver around. That's not going to change. But we don't know what the best path out is, you know.
Mhm.
So that's how we may orient ourselves. And so, in terms of orienting for trust, it's clarify what's true because we skirt the truth, like was in that situation I just gave. That example, they didn't have to talk exactly about what's uncertain, a little bit, but what won't change, they did. So there was a little orientation in all of that as well.
So the orientation is actually dealing with life on its own terms, right? It is what it is. We
Perfect.
wish this person was more eloquent. They're not. They're on the team. This is what's happening. How do we orient to that? How do we move the things we can? How do we accurately assess what's going on? Am I getting that right?
100. Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, N, you're making it there.
We are there. So navigate is N. And so in this trust domain, navigate is we're moving from what's the next clean move is really essentially what I'm focused on in navigate. There may be a big North Star, a 5-year plan. Those are important things. But I also think when we're under pressure and ambiguity is high and those things are uncertain, we just need the next clean move. Um,
Mhm.
we need to I go back to my small boat Coast Guard days and search and rescue. We just need to get past this wave. Once we get past this wave, we'll deal with the next one. But this is the one that's here now.
So does part of this also have to do with prioritizing or deciding kind of what needs to be focused on first?
Yes, and so what a great setup because this is a little bit of a fuzzy one, and I think you'll ask. But for trust, what I thought about it's about protecting dignity while moving forward. That's how to navigate maintaining and enhancing trust. is to continue to protect dignity. And so you can ask me some questions that I'll talk about some specific, we can get more granular on that as well if
I
you'd like.
do. I want to know when you say maintaining dignity, what does that mean? I mean, I think of integrity. So, or,
I think in terms of dignity as a person's feeling of self-worth, and especially in a leadership position. People can often define part of their self-worth by the leader, their belief of the leader's impression. And so being careful, to maintain and enhance that dignity rather than uh, erroneously or on purpose destroying it. I think, so that's um, you know, the question that comes to mind is, how, if I'm going to move forward, how do I do it and continue to maintain and enhance the dignity of whomever, if it's a team I'm working with, if I'm making change, if I'm a manager and I'm laying off someone, how do I protect their dignity and move forward, and how do I protect everyone else's dignity? Both the person who's getting cut and the survivors.
yeah. And so that falls into the experience of navigating because you're also tracking the impact on dignity as you make decisions or as you negotiate outcomes, that kind of a thing.
Correct. Correct. Hmm.
Yeah. So tell me where you've been using this. Tell me how it ends up unfolding for you.
Yeah, the funny thing is how I kind of discovered, or created this is I realized I was using this in my own life. I realized that certain things were coming up in conversations with leaders and teams and organizations that, and that this seemed like a pattern, these six things that sometimes I wasn't using one or more of them sufficiently for my own life. Sometimes clients weren't using one or more of them in a certain way. So uh,
Mhm.
like in my coaching and in my work, we work around those kind of ideas because when a leader and a team is present to all six of those ideas and using them in a natural way. Again, it's not thinking about, oh, I have to use the model, but it's something I have to think about, where am I and where's my team? That's orient. Okay. Okay, great.
Mhm.
You're thinking about the orientation. Where are we going? That's navigate. Great. Are you
Uh-huh.
balanced? Which is a big one for uh, people in today. Things are it was probably 20 years ago that the term VUCA VUC or VUCCA kind of came out and was popular. Things are so much more chaotic now than they were 20 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that is totally true. Well, you're not going to believe this, but we are at that time where people are ready to hear about your 3 steps to increase clarity.
Yeah, excellent. So there's three simple steps that you can do before any hard conversation to increase your clarity
Mm.
around it, which is one, just slow your exhale,
Mm.
and then drop your shoulders. And maybe turn inside and ask, what would preserve dignity here? And experiment with that for a little while, see what comes up.
I love that. So the 3 steps are the exhale, slowing your breath down. The second one is relax your shoulders and turn inward. And then ask yourself, and I love this pause, the whole pause of it. What would preserve dignity here?
You got it.
And so what have you seen happen when people do that? Like what kinds
Well,
of outcomes are you seeing?
amazing stuff. And the one little case I gave you. So this fellow, that was 2 years ago. He was an individual contributor in a Fortune 50 tech company. He is now a chief executive in a multinational corporation. And when he took me out to lunch, he's like, "Oh, this is all because of the work we did together." And I'm like, "Well, you bring a lot, but they wanted to hire." But it really freed him up to be himself more.
Mm,
He's so smart, but
mm,
his arrogance was getting in the way.
mm,
Now he's comes across as a human being that people want to be around and want to learn from and want to engage with. And he's got the best job in his life, and he's in his 60s.
That's amazing. I
Yeah.
love that
Yeah.
story. What a wonderful story. This person who was really unconsciously pushing people away. He
Mhm.
already had the smarts and the gifted package and the accomplishment package, but now you greatly up-leveled his relational skills to be able to connect with people and to have them be authentic with him in return. I love that story, Daniel.
And I think he would say the same as is that really I allowed him to return to the best parts of himself.
I love that too. I always love it when it's about, yeah, people just optimizing what their potential might
Yeah.
be. Daniel, thank you so much for being here today on Whole by Design. And thank you for joining me on this episode. I hope it left you feeling inspired to toss out labels, embrace new perspectives, and take one step closer to the joy and clarity that is waiting for you. As always, visit www.vivapartnership.com to access our free and low-cost resources that will empower you and your loved ones on health and well-being. Subscribe, review, or share this episode with someone who could benefit from a stigma-dropping approach to mental fitness today.